Welcome back. I am Tyler here with my brother Ryan. Today we are doing the Carolina Panthers 3-round mock draft. Ryan and I, we did a full 3-round simulation, all 100 picks, and this will be just the picks from the Carolina Panthers. So we're going to break down the Panthers 3-round mock draft, but before we do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified whenever we create new content. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the Super Bowl. So by the time of viewing this, it'll be a couple weeks away. So that's just about 10 to 15 new subs per video. So if this is your first time here, welcome, and hit that subscribe button. Also ring the bell and get notified whenever we create new Panthers mock drafts. Ryan, let's pull up the slides here. So what you're seeing here, the name that's in colored, that is the Panthers pick. And then we wanted to include some of the other picks before and after as well. Just kind of give some context of what the other teams took. And then on the right here, you'll see other potential options that we feel the Panthers might take. And also to the far right of that, the team that picked them in our mock draft and what pick that was. So we ended up going with Ladd McConkey here for the first pick in the second round. Just with how deep this receiver class is overall and the lack of receiver talent overall on the Panther side, I think that this is a great spot for taking a receiver here. I think Ladd is the perfect complement, I think, to what they already have. Adam Thielen actually did have a 1,000-yard season, so he is their number one. Jonathan Mingo, I think, can develop into that other outside guy next to him. But they need to just find other weapons, other consistent guys that Bryce Young can rely on. I think Ladd McConkey can go into that slot here. I think he would be a very versatile weapon. It's him falling here, I think, is I think convenient because for the Panthers, because I've started to see Ladd McConkey rise up a little bit more in some mock drafts. So, Ryan, what are your overall thoughts on this pick? Any potential changes also, actually?
Yeah, so to speak a little bit on the pick that we made, I think Ladd McConkey could fit right in and be Bryce Young's best friend, right? He's going to be that outlet guy, that hot route receiver. He's going to be running a lot of routes over the middle, getting separation early on and into the down. And I just think he would be a fantastic fit for a quarterback that doesn't have that right now. They have Jonathan Mingo. He was very raw as a prospect coming out. He's going to take a little bit longer to develop. And other than that, they're really old at the position. Adam Thielen, like you said, was a 1,000-yard receiver, but he's 34. And so getting Bryce Young, a young wide receiver to kind of develop with, I think would be fantastic. And then some of the other routes, I mean, if they want to go with a more traditional X receiver, A.D. Mitchell was the very next pick in this draft. He's the 6'4", 215, great athlete, right? Xavier Worthy, if they want to go with more of a speedster guy. I think Ladd McConkey is a good do-it-all receiver. He kind of does a lot of these things well. And I think he would be a good fit for just kind of for that scheme. I also think you look at this offensive line, Tyler Guyton, Jackson Powers Johnson, two different offensive linemen there. But again, strengthening this offensive line is going to be critical for the Carolina Panthers going forward for Bryce Young. But also, not having that first overall pick is going to be kind of hard to balance, right? Like, all right, do they go receiver? Do they go tackle? Because they're already going to be kind of getting the scraps of the first round here at 33. The good news is from 15 to 35, there's really that is one tier of players that I think that they fall into kind of the back end of that. I don't think that they're really missing out. Whereas in the past couple of years, I think you really see a drop off after 20 of kind of the talent and caliber of player. So,
yeah, I will say, just kind of add on to, because I agree with you. I think receiver, offensive line is going to be their strategy overall, just trying to protect Bryce Young. I mean, of course, now that coach isn't there anymore, but they moved up to go get Bryce Young with the number one overall pick, so that bed's kind of made for the next couple of years. So
at least,
so they want to try and build around him, at least give him some opportunities, because I think Bryce Young, just unfortunately, just was not put in position to succeed last year. But it's depending on what they do in the offseason and also what happened with Brian Burns, I do think edge rusher is a sneaky position here. And one of the reasons why, too, is that kind of can segue into our next pick a little bit, because we did end up going with Austin Frazier, center out of West Virginia. But this is also kind of a point here. There's a big gap between like the top 60 edge rushers and the next level of edge rushers, which are currently ranking outside the top 100 overall prospects. So I think they kind of hurt themselves a little bit overall, but it's going to be either that receiver, offensive line, or edge rushers, depending on if they re-sign Brian Burns. I think within our approach, I think this will probably be the approach that they end up doing, is giving Bryce Young a lot of help. But going with a guy like Austin Frazier here, center from West Virginia, I think would be a good pick on the third round here. Could play center, but just be in that interior offensive line and potentially move into center.
I apologize. His name is actually Zach Frazier. He's from West Virginia. I remember doing this. It's Zach Frazier. My bad.
Austin Frazier's his alter ego.
Yeah. It's Zach Frazier from West Virginia. He's their center, and I think that would just be a really good commanding presence, kind of to have in the middle of this. In the middle of this offensive line, especially one that's kind of been struggling. I think he could come in. He'd be a really physical center that they could build around. I believe he has a wrestling background, which is what you want in the interior offensive lineman. Actually, just linemen in general. And so I really like this pick. I know they could go something probably a little sexier, but at the same time, it's just you're trying to build the best offense that you can around your young quarterback. And I think this is the best pick at this time, especially a lot of the tackles that could come in and play right away are off the board. You did already get a wide receiver that could come in and be a little bit of a difference maker from day one. And outside of that, like, I don't think you can ask for much more from this pick, but for somebody to be that guy. So
yeah. And so whether it's Austin or Zach Frazier, I think this is a good pick here. So, but in general, I think also we included some other names as well with on the receiver side. That if they don't get a receiver in the first round, those are some of the guys that they can get. Johnny Wilson, Malachi Corley, Roman Wilson, I think would also be good. So but that's it though for those. It's just 2 picks in the top 100 for the Carolina Panthers here. So Ladd McConkey, Austin Frazier. I think this is kind of Zach Frazier. My apologies. So, but I think that's going to be the kind of overall strategy that the Panthers are going to take, is just trying to build around Bryce Young, bring some sort of unity, and protection to him, so this offense could be somewhat explosive. Overall, they got shut out the last 2 weeks of the season, so definitely going to want to build off that. I guess it can't get any worse. So, Ryan, any thoughts here, and any other potential different strategies you think the Panthers or approaches that they might take?
I mean, I could see them going defensive heavy, but I think especially with how poor this offense was, I think it would be wise for them to just re-sign and make do on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe go out and get a few free agents. I do think that's probably the better side of this free agency class outside of like the top tier players. But I mean, I think they would be very wise to build around Bryce Young and use these top 100 picks to kind of support him and try to get this offense back on track. So yeah. But let's go ahead and wrap up this Panthers 3-round mock draft here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of the Panthers 3-round mock. What would you do differently? What other players would you like to target? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.